Hello everyone, today is 31st of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, in today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper and the good articles from the Indian Express explained section also we will be taking up. Guys, meanwhile, if you like our initiative, please do hit the like button and also please subscribe to our channel. Now friends, taking up the overview of all the articles that we are going to take up today. Now guys, first of all, on to the Indian Express explained section. We can see that here defining the creamy layer is being talked about. Now the matter has just been raised that there needs to be some more grounds. Right now guys, the grounds are there with respect to the profession into which your parents are. Moreover, the income of your parents, it is seen. However, more grounds are being talked about. However, into the article, much of a substance is not there. Then guys, how an archer's heart beat during a contest, not important. Then this particular article, it talks about the recent changes that have been made into the Juvenile Justice Act. A very good article and we will comprehensively seeing it. Now guys, coming on to the Hindu newspaper. So this is the page number 1. Here we can see that the Supreme Court will hear the plea against the Pegasus project or the snooping, and into this direction some of the observations are there which we will be seeing it. Then guys, the other articles are not very much important. Then guys, here we can see that the judge's death, it has a wider ramification onto the overall judicial well-being of India. It has been observed by the Supreme Court. We will see that what this all matter is all about. Then guys, the city page, nothing very much important here. Just the regional issues etc. has been there. You can completely avoid it. Moving on. Guys, here we can see that the CSE study with respect to the ozone pollution has been there. We will see that what are the other matters. Then guys, the other issues are not very much important. Now we are reaching to the editorial page, and this particular article, it talks about the recent Supreme Court direction where it has said that the legislative privileges cannot be taken up for the unruly behavior into the legislature. We'll see this. Then guys, this particular article is talking about the DICGC amendment bill, and we'll see that how it is important. Then guys, this particular article is talking that how Himalayas are needed to be visualized into an integrated system. We'll see what has happened here. Then guys, the Hindu-Muslim dialogue. Here basically this particular article is talking about the recent comments which have been given by the RSS members etc. Now nothing very much important into this particular article is there. Then guys, the today is a ground zero and it is the ground zero report as it is Saturday. Now nothing very much important here. It is just guys more of a lesser leisure reading where the accounts of the people are given. You can avoid it. Then guys, coming on to this particular page, here we can see that the sensitive reporting of the rape cases needs to be there. Such kind of an ethical guidelines needs to be there. We will see it. Then guys, the other article are not very much important. Here we can see that India and China will be holding the 12th round of talks. However guys, this is a very much evolving kind of thing which goes on. Then guys, here we can see that the differently abled people, they will try to scale the Siachen and will set a record. Now this is a kind of a good initiative that has been there, and we'll see that what will happen. Then guys, on to the next page, here we can see that the parliament disruption are going on. Government tried to introduce the several bills, but guys, nothing substantial happened due to the disruption that was there. Then guys, the similar kind of things are there. Nothing very much important with respect to the UPSC. And then guys, we come to the showcase page. Nothing very much important here. Then on to the world page guys, the matters with respect to the Afghanistan, the talks between Pakistan, USA etc. They are being talked about. More or less all these are the evolving details and they will be changing very much into a very much volatile manner. Then onto the business page guys, here we can see that the corporate profits etc. has been talked about. Nothing very much important. And then it is the sports page where India might be getting a second medal. So that is all about this particular thing guys, and now let's take the discussion of these articles in detail. Now friends, starting up with the today's GS quote. So today we will be taking a quote from the Isaac Asimov, the US science fiction author. He had defined the violence. He says, violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. Guys, many a times we have seen that the violence is proposed as a solution. For example, the World War I and World War II, they were fought as a war to bring the solution to the many of the wars. But guys, we have seen that the impending problems of the world have not been solved until now. And guys, into the many capacities, many a times through the actions of states and individuals also the violence has been sponsored. But here the Isaac Asimov explains that violence can never be a long lasting and a sustainable solution. Rather it is a symbolism of incompetence where the ideas, where the lasting solutions have been failed, we resort to the violence. Guys, the similar understanding was given by the Gandhiji also when he proposed the path of ahimsa and non-violence, because he knew that violence can never bring the lasting and sustainable peace. So guys, this is the understanding that we can utilize into our answers related to the GS paper number 4, where the ethical concerns into the international relations have been talked about, and within the GS paper number 4, the ethics of war is also an important topic, so where we can utilize into one of our dimension. So guys, that is all about today's GS quote, and now let's discuss in detail the newspaper analysis article. Now guys, taking up the first article. So this article has been taken up from the Indian Express explained section, and it will be important for the GS paper number 2, social justice, under the topic of vulnerable sections of Indian society. Now guys, when we talk about the vulnerable sections, the children and juvenile, they happen to be vulnerable because due to their low bargaining power, many a time their physical and sexual exploitation happens. Now guys, when we talk about the children, the protection has to be given to them under the fundamental right, article number 23-24, which talks about the right against exploitation. Moreover, there are the directive principles of state policy, which also calls that the state needs to come out with the comprehensive policies where the children's safeguard can be secured. Moreover, into the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights 1948, children's rights are to be conserved, and at the same time there are other many international conventions also. Now guys, in order to secure the well-being of the children, that we have the Juvenile Justice Act. Now guys, the last Juvenile Justice Act, it was amended in 2015, and in 15 we got the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. Now guys, what had happened, the parliament had cleared the Juvenile Justice Amendment Bill 2021, and it will be bringing out some of the changes into the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, which is already existing. Now guys, understanding this particular amendment, what has changed, but before that we will be understanding some of the basic aspects of the 2015 act that is already there into the existence. Now guys, when we talk about the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, which is already there, this particular change came after the Nirbhaya rape case, in which it was found that the person who was most violent, he was juvenile. He was in fact just a few months short of turning 18, and as a result he was tried as a juvenile and he spent a very limited sentence into the correctional home. So guys, it created a lot of furor, and in response government constituted the Justice Verma Committee. Now guys, the Justice Verma Committee recommended some of the change into the Juvenile Justice Act of 2000, which was existing at that point of time, and these changes came. Now guys, as per the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, the major provisions were that first of all, that there was a possibility that the juveniles who are in conflict with law into the age group of 16 to 18 years, they could be tried as adults in case where the crimes were to be determined, particularly if they perform the heinous crimes, then they could be tried as adults. Now guys, the nature of the crime, that what will be the heinous crime, whether the juvenile should be tried as a minor, as a child, or as an adult, all these things were to be determined by the Juvenile Justice Board. Then guys, this particular 2015 act also streamlined the adoption procedures for the orphans in India. Guys, earlier there were the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, which majorly pertained to the Hindu adoptions, and the Guardian of the Wards Act, which pertained to the adoption into the Muslims. However, the procedures were very much tardy and time consuming, and a kind of a situation emerged where lakhs and lakhs of children were waiting for the adoption, but prospective adopter parents, they were not getting the child. So under this particular amendment, the CARA, that is the Central Adoption and Resource Authority, was given the status of a statutory body, and it was given the primary responsibility to perform the function of adoptions. So this was a major change that came. And then guys, finally, the state government, they were obligated to establish the child welfare committees into all of the districts, which will be looking for the welfare of the children. So these were the major changes that came in 2015. Now guys, the 2021 bill, it is changing some of the things, and it is basically bringing more of an accountability, better rehabilitation for the child welfare into the India. Now guys, what has happened? Meanwhile, there are many of the reports which have provided that the child care institutions, they are not preserving all the rights of the children. Even the child welfare committees have also failed to provide the adequate timely response. Into this particular direction guys, a report was filed by the NCPCR, that is the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, in 2018 and 19, and it provided that out of the 7,000 child care institutions which were investigated, 29% of them had major shortcomings into their management. Many a times the rights of the children are being violated. They were being kept into the unsanitary conditions even when they were receiving the foreign funding or the funding from the government. It was found that not a single child care institution into the country was found to be 100% compliant to the provisions of the Juvenile Justice Act. So it was a major institutional flaw. Further guys, it is an obligation of the child welfare committees as well as the state child protection units that they need to monitor these child care institutional facilities, but they have also not performed their role very much effectively. Now into this particular capacity, now what has happened, the DM, they have been made responsible for ensuring that these child care institutions, which are falling into the district, they are following all the norms and procedures, particularly the procedures of the Juvenile Justice Act. Then guys, the second thing that has been provided here, it is the responsibility of the DM that they will carry out all the background checks of the child welfare committee members, and even the criminal background will also be checked, so that only the people who have proven track record of protecting the child rights, they are only being nominated as the member of the child welfare committees. So this is the next change that has come. Then guys, these child welfare committees, they have also to regularly report to the district magistrate with respect to the activities into the districts that are going for the child welfare and what they are doing in order to perform their responsibilities. Then guys, the next thing it has been provided that there can also be the possibility for the removal of the members of the child welfare committees. They can be terminated by the state after an inquiry if they fail to attend the proceedings of the child welfare committees consecutively for 3 months without any valid reason, and or if they fail to attend less than 3/4 of the sittings in a year. So guys, for the non-performance also they can be removed. So extensive power onto the DM has been given and the accountability has also been established. Moreover guys, as 2015 Act was there, I told you that into that if the heinous crime is committed by a juvenile, he could be tried as an adult. In fact guys, this 2015 Act, it put the offenses by the juveniles into the three categories, that is the heinous offenses, serious offenses and the petty offenses. Now there was much of an ambiguity into the domain of serious and heinous. Now heinous are the ones where they could be tried as adult. Many a times guys, even if the serious crime was committed, it was put into the category of a heinous, the children were tried as adults. Now guys, what had happened, the ambiguity between the serious and heinous crimes have been removed, and as this particular ambiguity have been removed, much of the sick children's rights will be protected and preserved. Now it has been provided that the heinous crimes will be the ones where the minimum imprisonment is the 7 years, and they mostly pertain to the sexual offenses or the violent sexual crimes. Now guys, the serious crimes on to the other hand, they are the ones where the maximum sentence is more than 7 years. So guys, heinous minimum is 7 years or more, serious maximum is 7 years or more, and when we talk about the serious, minimum punishment, it is less than the 7 years or it is not prescribed. So this is the distinction between the heinous and the serious that has been made. Then further guys, it has also been provided that the district magistrate as well as the additional district magistrate, they now can issue the adoption orders under the section 61 of the Juvenile Justice Act, so that the speedy disposal of the cases is there where the adoption is concerned. Earlier guys, the orders can be given only by the court, and as there is a huge backlog of cases into the court, the adoption process was not very much streamlined. Now the power has been given to the district magistrate, so now the adoption process will become swift and streamlined. Now guys, by all these particular steps, we can see that the preservation of the child rights will be there, and guys, now we are moving into the direction where the obligations of India under the international covenant for the child rights will be followed. So that is all about this particular article guys. I hope that you have understood it. Please do utilize if a question comes. So that is all. Now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it pertains to the Supreme Court, which had decided that it will be hearing the plea with respect to the snooping into the next week. Now guys, we have seen that the Pegasus project, which was a kind of a result of an collaborative investigation by the media houses around the world, it was released and it was found that into the India also many of the people have been spied by using the Pegasus. Now the people who have been spied, it includes the former members of judiciary, it includes the individuals, the people from the opposition, political leaders, etc. Now into this capacity, there is a disruption also into the parliament which is going on, and the Supreme Court is also being asked that a kind of an expert committee should be constituted under the chairmanship of a sitting or a retired judge. Now the Supreme Court had said that they will finally be hearing this particular plea and will see that whether such kind of committee is to be created. Guys, it has been provided that when we talk about the surveillance or the interception, it could be justified only into the cases of the public emergency or for the interest of public safety, as well as for the if such kind of conditions are existing which might bring some kind of implications onto the sovereignty of India. And under the Telegraph Act as well as IT Act, the surveillance is allowed. But now guys, as it has been carried on to the private individuals, onto the members of judiciary, onto the opposition, there is no ground that they were causing a kind of a threat to the national security. So guys, here just for the ulterior and vested motives, the surveillance might have been carried, and government had also not clarified whether they allowed such kind of surveillance or not. So investigation becomes very much pertinent. Moreover guys, it has been provided that any kind of hacking is not totally allowed under the IT Act, and the Pegasus spyware constitutes a kind of a criminal offense, and if the government has allowed it, adequate responsibility and accountability needs to be owed to the government. So that is all which has happened here. Apart from this, nothing more is there into this particular article. Now as the Supreme Court, if it agrees that okay, a committee could be constituted, and then what that committee will be recommending, it will be important, and for that we will be seeing it when it comes. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now friends, this particular article talks about the increasing ozone levels into the environment, the smog problem that is being created, and it will be important for the prelims examination as well as for the GS paper number 3 under the topic of environment, ecology, conservation. Now guys, what had happened, a study has been published by a reputed institute, CSE, that is a Center for Science and Environment, and it had found that the ozone levels, they are exceeding the permitted levels across the entire year. Now guys, when we talk about the ozone, the presence of ozone into the stratosphere is very much good because it saves the earth from the harmful ultraviolet rays. But when the ozone is present into the environment, it becomes a kind of a irritant and it becomes a pollutant. Now guys, when we see the ozone, it is produced photochemically when there is an interaction between the different kind of trace gases that are emitted mainly by the vehicular exhaust. So when an interaction happens between these different gases under the presence of a sunlight, the ozone is created, and therefore the ozone, the mixing of ozone with the fog, that is smog, it was considered as a phenomena of the summers. But now guys, it has been found that not only into the summers but into the winters also, the alarming and disturbing level of the ozones are prevailing, as well as the smog are also prevailing. It has been provided that guys, as now ozone is a year-round problem, it requires urgent action, and the situation demands that there is needs to be a refinement of the clean air action and strategies by the government so that ozone mitigation are there. Moreover, for the vehicle also, there are needed to be the stricter standards that they need to follow. Moreover, the industrial emissions as well as the waste burning also needed to be controlled if this ozone pollution has to be controlled. So this is the finding by the CSE. Moreover, it has been seen that into the pandemics there were the lockdown, and for many a days the vehicular movement was very much restricted, but then also the ozone pollution had not come down, rather at the similar level it has increased into the pandemic year as well. So therefore guys, the ozone is leading to more pollutions, it is leading to more serious implications onto public health. So therefore immediately some of the reliefs measures are needed to be taken by the government. It needs to come out with a kind of a streamlined strategy that how the ozone and other irritants volume could be reduced. So that is all about this particular article friends. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now friends, this particular article, it pertains to the recent incident that happened into the Jharkhand Dhanbad where a judge was killed. Now, into this particular capacity, guys, the judiciary had expressed much of a displeasure and resentment, and it has been said that it is a kind of a shocking incident which might have huge implications for the independent judiciary. Now, guys, into this particular matter, the Jharkhand High Court is taking a probe, but the Supreme Court has also filed a suo motu case which has been titled as Safeguarding Courts and Protecting Judges' Death of Additional Session Judge Dhanbad. Into this capacity, the Supreme Court will see that how the judges, particularly at the lower level around the country, they are facing the threats. Many a times they are being issued warnings that if they give a judgment into a particular manner, then the dire consequences will be there. Now, guys, according to the Supreme Court, the independence of the judiciary is the independence of each and every judge, and it needs to be secured at all the cost. It has provided that there is a larger malaise of application of political pressure onto the trial judges, and many a times they are tried to subvert their judgment. Now, this particular thing will be having a lot of implications because the justice will not be given to the people. Moreover, the judiciary also needs to be free so that they can become fair. So, guys, the judges, they are needed to be protected at all the cost. It has been provided that the judicial independence of the district judiciary is cardinal to the integrity of the entire system as a whole. Moreover, the courts that comprise in the district judiciary are the first point of interface with the citizens. And if the faith of citizen into the administration of justice has to be preserved, then, guys, the district judiciary is the one where the attention is to be focused. So, into this particular capacity, the law and order, the enforcement, the government needs to orient their response onto this particular aspect, and immediate some steps are to be taken. So, guys, this is the observation that has been made. So, guys, with respect to the issues that the judiciary is facing into the present times, a kind of a physical assault has also come. So, please do keep it into your mind, as it might have some kind of an indirect usage into the answer related to the GS paper number 2. So, that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the recent bill that has been cleared by the cabinet, that is the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation Bill 2021. Guys, already we have seen it few days back into a newspaper analysis also. Now, guys, what this particular bill provides, it provides that, see, first of all, guys, when a person, Mr. A, he deposits a money into the bank. Now, if the bank defaults or if the bank entirely falls, then what will be happening to the Mr. A's money? Now, into this particular direction comes the DICGC, that is the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. Now, this particular organization gives an insurance over the money that has been deposited. Now, guys, into 1993, it was provided that if you are keeping a money into the bank and if bank falls, then your money is protected maximum to the tune of 1 lakh rupees. Then, guys, what had happened? Just last year, this particular limit of 1 lakh, it was increased to 5 lakh rupees. Now, guys, maximum of 5 lakh rupees can be availed. If you have put 10 lakh rupees, you will be getting maximum of 5 lakh only. However, this settlement of money was taking many years. 8 to 10 years were taken in this particular settlement, and therefore the investors, they are not very much confident in keeping their money into the bank. Now, friends, with this DICGC bill of 2021, it has been provided, number one, that not you need to wait that the bank needs to entirely fall. Rather, the moment when the Reserve Bank of India will put a moratorium onto a bank because the bank has went into a financial trouble, from that moment only these particular people's claims are to be processed, and within the maximum of 90 days the people are to be given back their money up till the cap of 5 lakh rupees. So, guys, we have seen that into the last 2 years, 3 banks particularly, that is the Yes Bank, Lakshmi Vilas Bank and the PMC banks, they have faced a moratorium by the RBI. Now, guys, the moment such moratorium will be faced, then only the process to give them the 5 lakh rupees maximum amount, it needs to begin, and within 90 days it is needed to be completed. Now, guys, according to the Reserve Bank of India data, this particular thing will be protecting 76.21 lakh crore rupees, or almost 51% of all the deposits that they are into the bank accounts of India. Moreover, guys, when we talk about in terms of depositors, then, guys, the 98.3% of all the account holders, they will be saved, because 98.3% account holders, they have less than 5 lakh rupees. So this is a very good thing, and guys, it will infuse more confidence into the people onto the banking system. Now we see the banking system, they have high number of NPAs. The saving rate of the saving of the people that they are keeping into the bank has also declined. So more capital will be kept by the bank, by the people. They will not stash their money just into some another kind of way. So it is a kind of a good thing. But at the same time, guys, this particular limit of 5 lakh also needs to be enhanced further, so that the big depositors, they can also feel confident. So guys, this is a good reform that has done. However, if this limit of 5 lakh rupees would have also been increased, it would have been even more better. So that is all about this particular article. And now guys, we'll be moving to the next article. Now this particular article, guys, talks about the recent Supreme Court judgment, where the Supreme Court has said that the ruckus, which is often done into the assembly, where the legislators, they throw mic on each other, they throw computers on each other, this is a kind of an unruly behavior and it will not be tolerated. The Supreme Court, guys, had just a couple of days back said that you cannot take the legislative immunity or the parliamentary immunity and can say that whatever we want to do, we will be doing it. All such kind of conducts into the assembly, they will be liable for the criminal conduct, and immunities are just for the legislators, so that without fear or favor, they can keep their voices onto the floor of the house. They cannot be availed into the circumstances where such kind of intimidation or physical assault is being carried. Now guys, this particular article has talked about only that particular judgment. It has said that how for the present Kerala government it is a kind of a setback and all such kind of things. However, those political things are not at all important for our UPSC examination. So Supreme Court had simply said that there cannot be any immunity for the acts of vandalism. Parliamentary privileges cannot be given. Moreover, guys, this particular article in very much detail we have already studied into the 29th of July newspaper analysis, where I have taken up this entire issue. If you have not seen it, you can see it again onto the 29th July. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken up from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about a comprehensive and an integrated look that we need to give onto the Himalayan region as a whole. And into this particular capacity, this article might be important for GS paper number 2, International Issues and Affairs Matters. Now guys, first of all, the article as a whole is not carrying too much of a substance, so just limited points are there which are making sense for our examination. Now see, guys, when we talk about the Himalaya have been seen into a limited coordinates, particularly under the light of geopolitics, under the light of security, as well as under the light of a geographical phenomena only it can be seen. Now, when the Britishers were there into the India, Britishers saw the Himalaya just as a defense wall against the Russophobia. Now into the light of Sinophobia, that is the threat that we are having from the China, we see Himalaya just as a defense wall from them, as well as with respect to the Pakistan phobia also, the Himalayas have been seen. Moreover, the other countries, that is the China and Pakistan, they are also seeing this Himalayas into a limited capacity. So it has been provided that there is the Delhi, Beijing, Islamabad triad, which sees the mountain with respect to as a kind of a defense wall only. Now this particular legacy with respect to the territorialization of Himalaya, it began during the time of the Britishers, and the same hangover is going on up till now. It has been provided that, guys, now we need to visualize the Himalayas into a broader line. We need to see this entire system as a whole rather than the domain of the different countries. And the moment we will see this particular Himalayan system as a whole, there are large number of benefits that can be attained. For example, guys, the Himalayas can be used to address the concern with respect to the trade, commerce, community, ecology, environment, etc. Now, guys, the role of the Himalayan passes to facilitate the transit has now been more or less lost because the rivalries which are going on there. So now the time has come that the Himalayas are needed to be seen as an integrated mountain system, and the cooperation rather than the competition needs to be there into the Himalayas if we want to reap all the ecological, environmental and economical benefits of the system. So guys, this is all which has been provided into this particular article, and nothing much more than this particular thing. So just as a line of thought, you can keep it into your mind. And now we will be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is an important article, and it talks about a recent study that has been conducted by the UNESCO, and this study is the study on sexual violence and the news media issues, challenges and guidelines for journalists in India. Now guys, first of all, the application of this article. We have the GS paper number 4, and within the GS paper number 4 there are the applied ethics, and within the applied ethics there are the journalistic ethics or the media ethics. Now guys, many a times we see that the media houses, the journalists, they monger the sensationalism. The yellow page journalism is carried where just the sensational news etc. they are searching, and into that capacity many a times the cases with respect to the rapes in India, they are put into a glamorized light, and much of the substandard reporting is there. So guys, according to the UNESCO, it has been provided that there needs to be the accountability with respect to the cases where the sexual violence is being covered. It has been provided by this UNESCO study that there needs to be a national charter for the news reporting of rape and sexual violence, and the industry leaders, the news houses, they need to ensure that there is accountability and commitment when the sensitive reporting for the sensitive matter is being done. Moreover guys, this particular study has also provided that there is a conspicuous lack of formal editorial guidelines when dealing with the sensitive cases such as rape. Only 13% of the news respondents are there which are having access of any written guidelines when dealing with the rape and sensitive type of cases. Now more correspondents are to be provided such kind of guidelines. Then guys, further it has been provided that 20% of the respondents, particularly the women, they themselves has faced a kind of a assault, a kind of an intimidation into their workplace. Moreover, they had also experienced distress, and 55% of women journalists, they themselves had directly experienced the workplace sexual harassment. Then guys, further it has been provided that the patterns into the daily news with respect to the sexual violence, they are many a times presented into a glamorized lights, and many a times what actually is happening onto the ground, it is not shown. So it gives a misleading picture of how sexual violence is manifesting into the country. So guys, therefore the UNESCO had provided that there needs to be a kind of a self-enforcement mechanism. There needs to be the self-designed guidelines onto the reporting of the cases. Now guys, such kind of thing cannot come from the government, because then it will be said that the article number 19 of the freedom of speech and expression, which entails the freedom of media, is being tempered. So media houses themselves need to bring out some kind of guidelines which points to the ethical reporting. So that is all which has provided into this particular article. And guys, that is all about the today's newspaper discussion. Friends, I believe that this particular initiative is proving to be fruitful for you. So that is all. Thank you so much.